back in Houston, Texas again. I'm with Quincy here, and we're going to talk all about your story and your journey into the world of sport and how you got there, and about yourself, of course.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for having me. First, a little bit about myself. I am a cybersecurity expert. That's what I do for work, for a living, and I basically hack into computer systems, write reports, and those types of things. So
it's a trusted one, not like,
ethical.
Ethical, right?
Yes,
Yeah, an ethical
yes.
hacker.
We need the good guys to help fight the bad guys,
Right.
basically.
Sure.
All right. But for fun, I do something for fun. I am an amateur triathlete. I am in love with swim, bike, and run.
You love the endurance sports.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it.
We were talking off camera a little while ago, and you had this incredible story on how you got from not doing anything to become a triathlete. So I'd love people to hear about this. It's amazing.
So one of my best friends' son came down with leukemia. He basically spent a year in the hospital with his son. And he would call me up and he said, "Hey man, I got to get out of the hospital. Let's go have a drink." So while we were there, he was explaining to me the process. Things like, if my job insurance wasn't as good as it is now, I don't think my son would be here. We need to find bone marrow donor, a matching donor. Those are things that he was dealing with at the time. And I spent a lot of time with him, learning, educating myself about what leukemia was. But basically, during that process, I'll step back for a while. I told Jeremiah to change the subject. I said, back in high school, I used to do a lot of running. Just change the subject completely.
So you guys were chit-chatting away.
Yeah.
He was talking about his son, and you're saying, maybe he just needs a little break from being so focused on this and trying to, change the conversation a little bit.
And I said, I said, hey, perhaps we should do a fun run or do something. I was a really good runner. At the time, I basically had not done any running for at least 10 years. I hadn't done any exercise. I sat on the couch. I watched every football game, every basketball game, and a little bit too much TV, right?
Okay.
And so
couch potato.
Couch potato.
Right? Everybody kind of getting it. He's classic. You're not doing anything. You're sitting on the couch, and then the little spark comes.
Yes. That spark of opportunity. Right. I don't know exactly how triathlons came into the picture, but one of the things he said is that he felt that there was a need to raise awareness for Black, brown people to not just donate blood more, but bone marrow, be a bone marrow transplant donor to help save lives.
So in the medical community, we were talking off camera, that it looks like in the Black community, people tend not to sign up for bone marrow
donorship.
Yeah, right, okay.
Right, and he felt that one of the ways we could do that is do something incredible. We will do this long sprint triathlon, right? This is kind of where we started, right? Some incredible thing where we would swim 300 meters and go out and bike 13 miles and run 3 miles. Oh man, that was just so difficult task to do it for us at the time, especially coming off the couch. And so he said, "Well, guy, if you're that fast, that good of a runner, let's try one." What actually happened is once I started training, I actually fell in love with cycling. I actually was not a cyclist prior to that. In previous years, much younger years, I was actually a runner. That was my thing.
All right.
Okay. But I also was a swimmer. I was a very good swimmer in high school. And once I started training, I noticed that I hadn't lost my stroke. Don't force me out of bed in your society. Don't Of course, I was still a little winded, but my stroke was there. I was a really good swimmer.
That's
still.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So all I felt like I needed to do was get the bike down a little more, right? So we started riding. We started out at 8 miles, and we started out at 40.
8 miles. You started
Yeah,
at 8.
We thought
8 miles.
We thought 8 miles, a couple times a week would be great, right?
8 miles. Most people. When you first start out, 8 miles is not insignificant. It will wind you pretty well.
I thought anyone that cycled more than 25 miles was nuts. Okay, but it was the love of that sport. We started to fall in love with that sport.
Sure,
Okay,
yeah.
at the same time, and so we had our first sprint try scheduled, and I remember. I looked at the computer screen to see where I was in my age group, and it said 4th place, missed podium by 27 seconds. Now, anyone that knows me knows that I'm a very, very competitive person.
Yeah, signing up again. I'm getting to that, right?
And with the nature of my job, with cybersecurity and studying the cybersecurity and ethical hacking, it requires me to study a lot. I took that same principle that I had for my everyday job and applied it to how could I become a better triathlete? What are other triathletes doing?
Right.
What is the workout plan like? What's the schedule? And so I took that. I watched every single YouTube video. Okay. I started meeting others in the community. Right. I met several people in the community. I started looking at what their workouts were. And we talked earlier about how, it's not a good idea to look at someone else's workout.
Exactly. Do not look at a pro's workout. It's very different.
Very different. And try to double it. Okay, right?
Double a pro.
Right, right.
Good idea.
So basically, second triathlon, I think I went at the rookie try and I got 2nd place. And I thought that was pretty incredible because I felt like I was still out of shape. So naturally, I fell into triathlon. I think one of the things that stops some triathletes or some individuals from getting into triathlons is the swimming. But for me, the swimming was the easiest. That's what I enjoy doing. As a matter of fact, I'll skip all other workouts and I'll do a swim workout on days I don't want to work out.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I love the swimming part. Okay. But the cycling part is pretty cool. I like going fast.
I agree.
Yeah. I love that part. So the rest is history. We've moved up in our mileage. We've done a full marathon together. Unfortunately, I did try to attempt at a 70.3, but we got pulled off the course. Galveston, was that 2018 or 19? We got pulled off the course, but I didn't feel bad about it because I felt like I was in shape and I knew I could have finished.
So what happened there? Was it you hit the wall or something, or
no? I did great on the swim, knocked out the bike, got about 4 miles into the run, and we had about 65 miles an hour winds.
Okay. Okay. So they took everybody off the course?
Took everybody. Yeah. The bikes were all over the place. I mean, it was a terrible scene. I didn't care that they were pulling people off. I was going to try to finish the race anyway, but they wouldn't let us. Right. They pulled us off.
65-mile-an-hour wind is not insignificant. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You started this Instagram account, and it was called, what was it called again?
Watch Me Try.
Watch Me Try. Yeah, Watch Me Try.
Yeah.
And that was to help your friends
raise awareness
for leukemia. And when you did that, it kind of took a life of its own, right? And really, it made a really big difference in the world.
Yeah, and what others are telling me is, and it's not intentional, but one of the things I say is that I have enough stress at work. I work really hard.
Sure.
And when I do try events and workouts, to me it's got to be fun. And that's what I try to do, and that's what shows up in my Instagram. You will see me having lots of fun.
Perfect. Because exercise, it's not, you don't really feel when you're out there and you're biking and swimming and running, the things you love to do, it doesn't feel like, quote, the workout, right? It doesn't feel, how often do you like to pop into the gym? So you like you like to push the weights?
So the weights only twice, once to 2 times a week on the weights, right?
Right, and it really makes sense for the type of work you're doing, especially when it comes to like doing endurance type of sport. So what we typically see in the world out there is, join big brand gym and people working on weights, and they're working on weights for aesthetics more than anything. And when you talk to a triathlete like yourself, so there's 2 different elements. One, it's up here, right? Because you already said it's the challenge of getting through to this. It's really about not just beating yourself, if you will, but how do I make this work? And it's like that little chessboard between all these different pieces. But it also is about the love of doing what you're doing, but it's just that different personality set that takes you out of the gym experience of doing weights per se and bodybuilding, but doing this instead.
Yeah, what do we always hear that triathletes like pain, right? I don't think we enjoy pain, but that just comes with the territory.
Well, it's not really pain because you're enjoying what you're doing, right? So for a lot of people, it's, hospitalization. They try what they're doing, right?
Right.
But for yourself, that you've taken over the course of, I think you said it was 3 years now?
About 3.5 years.
About 3.5 years of continually training to build yourself up into these Ironman events.
Right.
I'm really fascinated on how you're able to inspire people and help them get off the couch and join you in this greater than yourself experience that's going on. I'm kind of at a loss for words there, but just talking to you, there's an amazing energy that you say, hey, I want to go with that guy. Right. So how do you do it? What do you find?
So one of the things is I show, to be honest with you, I show a lot of the fun parts of the workouts, right? I show, I try to be myself. I try to be very authentic. You will see that on my page. But I also want to show others that it could be done.
Sure.
So on every post, you may see us joke around, but at the end of that post, you're going to see that we just completed 75 miles, right? And the next thing you see is us sitting around chatting and having fun, laughing and joking. And so it's that, just in trying to inspire others to say, hey, those guys can do it, and guess what? They look like me.
Exactly. It doesn't matter where you are in the process of getting off the couch.
That's right.
The point is, you started off with 8 miles. Actually, you started off with even less, because you started off with, hey, I think I can go do something.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And then the next step was, you took the next step. You actually went out and you did a bit of a run, right? You tried a little bike.
I did a bit of bike. Just put down some money on a bike. Of course, with the way I do my research, I had to find the best bike that I could afford, right? I could easily become a runner, I think I can. And I can easily try to do master swimming. But it's the combination of all the things that actually, I won't say complicated, but it's a puzzle that you have to put together.
Right.
And that puzzle is multiple disciplines. And those disciplines, I think, is what attracts me as well.
Yeah. In triathlon is a sport of attrition in some ways, right? So you have to just outlast your other person. Yes, you have to be competitive. Yes, you have to keep up with the pack. And yes, there are people that are really super competitive. And it sounds like you're on the more competitive end of stuff.
I'm racing myself. That's what I mean. I've looked at my numbers during training. I've looked at my numbers in the previous race. I looked at my previous course records, and I'm trying to beat that. I'm trying to crush my own. I'm competing against myself.
So you're very metric driven.
Yes, very metrics driven. Where was I last year at this time? Now, what's my pace on the run? Is my average speed on the bike increasing? How do I feel? I'm a great swimmer, but how do I feel when I get out of the water and transition to the bike?
Okay. What is your thought process on that? When you come out of the water, and when you say how do I feel, what kind of markers are you looking for?
So I tend to train. My swim training is a very fast pace, and I feel like that tough swim, if I could just even that out during the race. So I might have a really fast, I won't say what my pace is, but I might have a really fast pace of training. But in the triathlon, because you're doing multiple disciplines, I slow it down a bit. And I want to come out of the water feeling as fresh as I can. So I'm training just for that type of feeling.
Okay.
All right. And then the next piece to that is, so I look at the numbers.
I get that.
Right?
I get that a lot.
Right. And so I look at the numbers and I say, what could I do to improve or catch up to others in my age group? It could be that. Okay. And I said, my first triathlon, I had a transition of 7 minutes on T1.
Oh, where was your bike?
It was really cold too. I would say my excuse, it was cold, right? Okay. But I've had a transition as fast as 43 seconds now.
Okay.
Right, and I feel like that improving just my transition time is in a way improving my making up for my slow run time, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So like I said, I am metrics driven.
But if you think about it, like, okay, so you have a slow transition. But in the course of, if you're running a 13 miles, so say you're doing a half marathon or 10 miles, and I know time matters, but can you pick that up because other people are going to be in sort of that same circumstance, you know? So I see people, let's say, in long distance bike races and such, and they're aid stations, and they go off and they have a little drink and whatever, and they take a time, and they head back on the road again, and they do just fine. They're back in the pelotons, and they're zooming along. So is it as much of a detriment as you think it is?
It bothers me. I'll just say that, okay? So you can say yes. Yeah. But the reason I mentioned the details of what we're speaking about is that I like to try different things, improve myself, and then I share that. I share that with others, right? Right. You don't see many black triathletes, especially at an amateur level or a local events level. And I always take the time to go, hey, who is that over there? I've never seen her before.
That's very true. I ride a bike a lot, and I really don't see that many black cyclists either.
So, but guess what? If you go to my Instagram page at Watch Me Try, you will see over 100 cyclists riding together. Something that I didn't see just 3 years ago.
That's amazing. Truly inspirational.
Yes, and now some of those cyclists have raised their hand and says, I might with Qjax, that's also a name I go by. I might, or Watch Me Try, I might be willing. He's a cool guy. I might be willing to do at least one sprint triathlon with him. And I've got 15 cyclists right now. This is, hey, I'll try it. If he can do it, he's come from a long way. I'll try it. And so those are the I live for that. That's the energy that I'm trying to put out.
And it shows.
Yeah.
It really does. And it is truly inspirational. It's like, I want to ride with this guy.
Right. But also I look at those, everyone has their own goals and their own personalities, and you can look at sometimes you can judge them and say they're not as serious as you. Chill out, leave them alone. But there's some guys that are just naturally talented.
Sure.
They come out and you say, how long have you been cycling? 6 months. What? How long have you been cycling? 9 months. And they're averaging 23 miles an hour on a ride and popping 29 miles per hour. That's incredible to me. And so I look at that as well. And I gravitate towards those, I call them elite type athletes.
Yeah. I also think it's still inspirational because I have no aspirations of racing at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to, because I know me. And I know that I'm going to get in a Peloton and I'm going to flip and just hammer as much as I can. Right. And they're dangerous.
Yes.
You're riding a few inches off the back of somebody and the pileups happen and you go down, and I'm like, I know that at some point I've been injured before, so I know what it's like to not be able to work or have the other stuff. So absolutely love the idea of, the swim, bike, run, no problem. I'll train with everybody. I'll do all that stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that actually is still appealing to a lot of people who, it doesn't have to be race oriented. It can be, but it doesn't have to be your only motivation.
Yeah, that's right. We have a group ride every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And there are different types of cyclists, even if they're really fast. They have no interest in racing. They're just out there just to stay in shape.
Exactly.
Some of them are cycling because they can't run anymore.
That happens a lot.
All right.
You may not know, I'm a physical therapist as well. So as a PT, I see a lot of people who have difficulty running, and it's at some point, or their knees are kind of going bad, or their ankles have got some issues, and they've been sedentary for so long that the body has let's say a higher BMI to be gentle. And that's not a bad thing. It's recognizable, but biking offers an opportunity to change that around without blasting out your joints like running would. And even to the extent for a lot of people who have gotten a little bit bigger over time, if they're walking really fast too, but they also going to have joint compression problems and that type of stuff. If there's some arthritis and stuff setting in, that the bike offers an opportunity to return to a better body composition.
That's right.
Yeah, and in following somebody like yourself, it would be definitely like, oh yeah, I'm going to go out with your group, and we're just going to go out for a ride. So you'll finish, 30 minutes ahead of me, but I'll still meet you afterwards for the food.
Sure. But guess what? Everyone knows that I have that GoPro on the front of my bike, and they all want to jump in front. So on the front. You want to be on film, you got to be up front. Yeah. That's the deal.
Before we all wrap up here, I just want to say thanks so much.
Okay.
Man, I appreciate everything. And anything I can do to help you on your journey, please let me know. And thank you for doing what you're doing for the community. It really makes a difference to so many people's worlds, and it's an absolute honor to meet you and to learn from you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.